The following is a presentation of the ForceCenter podcast feed.
From the center of the galaxy, this is the ForceCenter podcast feed. I'm Ken Napzok for another edition of Star Wars Ranked. Me and a guest sit down with a Star Wars topic and rank it. Yeah, it's like science. And with me, as always, definitely recently, though we're getting some new guests coming in here from outside the ForceCenter walls, but Joseph Scrimshaw returns for this week's episode.
I am ready to scientifically rank, and by scientifically, I mean not at all scientifically. I mean totally personally, totally subjectively rank these things we're going to rank.
Oh, the funniest things about pop culture rankings. We're going to dive in today. We had such fun last week looking at our favorites and therefore the best Power of the Force figures. The figures from 95 to up to about 2000.
Yeah.
And now we decided let's just keep the party going. Today we're going to look at the Power of the Jedi line, which ran from 2000 to about 2002 up to Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Because it included some Attack of the Clones preview figures. So we figured let's just keep going with that, and we're going to dive into that. Before we do, though, I want to remind you that today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. This week on ForceCenter, we're recommending you try out on us The Legends of Luke Skywalker by Ken Liu. A lot of weird, wacky stories, Johnny or Ed. Wild and wacky. Leading up to The Last Jedi, including Salacious B. Crumb and a mole flea, Luke living inside a exogorth with scientists for a while, just trapped in there.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Tension.
But some insightful stuff. Check it out on us. Go to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter.
And then look up the Saturday Night Live sketches that Ken was referencing.
Azure by Jean Ed. We have got a fun little show ahead of us because we're talking figures. Figures are important in Star Wars. They've always been since the beginning of time when we couldn't even get them yet, order an empty box. Each little iteration brings something new and exciting and continues to make the Star Wars line get that much better. The Power of the Force line went from the big buff, super buff Luke on steroids to, by the end of it, had become a really respectable and fun line. Not that those buff ones weren't fun. Don't get me wrong. I think you know that. But as figures and the technology and how to make them kept getting better and bigger, the Power of the Jedi line comes in and starts to take things to the next level, but doesn't mean it doesn't have some fun, wild, and wacky stuff. Joseph, what is your initial, just overall view of the Power of the Jedi line?
I love it. It was definitely an exciting time in collecting because the whole Power of the Force was the return. And as we talked about in that other week, it went from buff and main characters to, much more accurate representations, much more advanced figures, and also like, collectors want obscure, weird moments in characters and costumes we've never released. Great. And then Phantom Menace explodes and they make an action figure of absolutely everyone, regardless of how much the word action does not belong in in relation to Rick Ollier. It's not exposition figure, it's action figure, but you got a Rick Ollier. And then the question of what will be next, and to see that this is the first thing that married the Skywalker saga is one story, right? Because this is the first thing that's like, hey, bunch of fun stuff from episode 1, bunch of classic trilogy stuff, some stuff that maybe acknowledges even expanded possibilities of fiction, even down to the card itself having big Vader head with young Obi-Wan Kenobi. I remember just seeing that and going, damn, it's all the same story.
It's all in the same playground. I love what you're saying there. Yeah, it's so right because, Phantom Menace line is kind of its own line.
Yeah, matched up aesthetically quite well, I think, with the Power of the Force. But
yeah, but you got to imagine that the makers of these toys are got to be looking at the results of not maybe Phantom Menace, but the figures initial run and go, people still want this. Now, again, I always refer to Toys That Made Us. If you watch that documentary, they do address just a large collection of Jar Jar stuff and weird, Pez dispensers and everything.
And I have a large lightsaber toy up my butt about this moment in the Toys That Made Us because they misrepresent.
Yeah.
in that one moment. I love it otherwise. But they say the episode 9 figures didn't sell well, so they retreated back to classic. And that's exactly, the classic figures were already doing well before the huge deluge of Phantom Menace products, and they didn't just return. They did Power of the Jedi with young Obi-Wan right there on every card. Right there,
combine it all. So this was, you guys talking about interesting time collecting. I have a lot of these. I just don't remember the fervor for them, and it's not a comment on the toys or the prequels or anything. Just maybe probably where I was in my life for these 2 years. I wasn't racing out to get a lot of these. These are ones I collected just there and there and there. You know, Where Power of the Force, I was obviously there and
you were hunting
Phantom Menace. The other day when I went to I had to go to the doctor appointment, and they moved their offices back up to Porter Ranch, whereas I went and waited at Toys R Us at midnight for the Phantom Menace figures.
Nice.
It's now a Spirit Halloween, and I drove right past it in the lot. I was like, man, I was really sad. February '99, I was right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or February, March, wherever it was.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about that there. This is the Power of the Jedi line, and we're going to start this list, Joseph, with your number 5.
Yeah, so for me, a lot of what I said in that episode about Power of the Force, I was really excited about what will they make that they never would have made when I was a kid. And my number 5, and many of my numbers represent this, but number 5 was a character that reflected my excitement about episode 1 and my excitement of, I imagined that. But would they ever make it? And yes, they did. It is Darth Maul Final Duel. Yeah. So this Darth Maul is extra special because you can cut it in half. The figure was magnetized. So it was actually a great Darth Maul figure with a lightsaber hilt that just had the one blade coming out because it is after Obi-Wan cut the double-bladed lightsaber in half. He looks perfectly awesome, but then magnet works beautifully. It's not even like you jam a peg in and it gets a little loose and then you separate them and a weird peg is sticking out. It's just a magnet. So you can cut them in half beautifully. And I don't remember this, but looking at it in the photos, he's got a little bit of a, what?
Oh, yeah.
What the F face over it? Oh, no. Or a little bit of a, oh, no, I've made a terrible mistake. He's got a little bit of a Joe Bluth face right there. Whoops. I've allowed something to happen that shouldn't. I talked a little bit on the Power of the Force episode about always wanting the Luke where you could take the arm off and that. So they just naturally, it's like, they wouldn't do that, would they? Would they make a, like, I imagined it as they would just sell me 2 halves of Darth Maul on one card. Yeah. But the fact that they magnetized it, beautiful.
I love it. It's described as break apart battle damage.
It's battle damage.
You could say that.
Yeah,
I had battle damage He-Man. A little different here. A little different here. Yeah, I love this. This is a great choice because it can be a fully functional figure if you want.
Looked great. It was just out, I think, on my dresser for a long time.
Or you can just have some legs sitting around. And like I said, started to take this to the next level with the Luke and the hand coming off from the Power of the Force line. Now you got this, and the fact that they, quote, went there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when Funko Pop released a Ned Stark with the head that could come off. Oh. You did that. Okay.
All right. You went there.
This is a little less bloody, but this is the same kind of concept to me. Yeah. This is, again, the things we want as Star Wars collectors.
Yeah. And a clever move to, if you are at all going to be collectible about it, you got to take this out of the package.
Right.
To play with it. So you're going to want to get 2, which I did.
Absolutely. You can't, you got to see that magnet in action there.
That's right. So that's my number 5, Darth Maul Final Duel.
Great way to start off the list here. I'm going my number 5. You talk about Phantom Menace and one of those little details and all those kind of things. I'm starting my list out number 5 with Aurra Sing. Ooh. That's right, the bounty hunter that had 2 seconds of screen time in the Phantom Menace, but inspired a lot of fans, including our friend Van William of the show. He's been on here before, talked about his love of Aurra Sing. It was one of those early characters that you were able to tell your friends, like, oh, that's Aurra Sing. She's a bounty hunter. George Lucas says she's going to factor into this story more. All right, maybe that didn't happen. But she had a cool figure released in the 2001 collection. Bold, vibrant, just the red, the black, and the weapon. She's got the long fingers.
Yeah.
The ponytails there. Just a really detailed figure. And this is when I really started to think that, you know, these lines are getting more and more, detailed and accurate. And it's just one of those figures that I needed to get because this was a little tiny character I was proud to know and support.
Yeah, and obviously you must have just found the character aesthetically cool, like an awesome new bounty hunter design, right?
She herself, I was thinking that why do I like this character on some base? You know, I am a straight male. What attracts me to this guy? And I like alternative style. Women have a history of that. She reminds me a lot of Zorana from G.I. Joe, Zartan's sister, which I had that figure too. And I think there's a weird connection to why I love this kind of weird kind of lady slinging around the galaxy collecting bounties. And I think they're back then in 2000, 2001, definitely was like, I need this on my shelf.
Man, we talk about from a certain point of view, and that is such a great from a certain point of view. Like, imagine you are, yes, a heterosexual guy, grew up loving the bounty hunters, and then said, what if them was sexually attractive to you and looked like they listened to Nirvana? And you're like, I need that.
Absolutely. Add to cart. Literally put it in my cart, which is what you'd have to do back then.
Their physical cart.
Yeah. So Aurra Sing starts my list off at number 5.
That's so great. That's so great. My number 4 then?
Your number 4 indeed.
My number 4 is a more traditional figure, but it is one that I had also said, like, oh man, they've made every little variation. Could they please make this one? What has come to be my favorite Leia? And it's a hard choice. I know you're big on Hoth. You know, there's many Leias I love, but what's come to be called Bespin Escape Leia, and they made one called Bespin Escape. Mm-hmm. So it's the Hoth outfit, but sort of stripped of anything but just the sort of space pantsuit up to a point. The space jumper, whatever the exact correct noun is. I've been yelled at before on the internet about what exactly the correct noun is for that, but. I think it's such a great look, and it's such a great moment of Leia, where she's got her hair still in the Bespin gown braids, but she's just hauling that big stormtrooper blaster, and she's just all business, trying to save Han, trying to escape Cloud City, and I like that she comes holding that E11 blaster. Oh yeah, and it's one of the times in the original trilogy where you get to see Leia mean business and, just blast stormtroopers with their own blasters.
Right, yeah. I mean, it really picks on the getting the garbage chute flyboy moment and just turns into a whole sequence with this character. Yeah. I love this figure, and it's a figure that I think I still might want to seek out and add to my collection now. I don't have it.
Yeah.
She did not in the original canon line. This figure did not exist.
No. They had started to make lots of variations of her in the Power of the Force, and they didn't get to this specific. Yeah, it's kind of Hoth, but it doesn't have the jacket and her braids. She got the braids different. Yeah. So it's a very specific look. And I think they are still in this moment where like, hey, great, we have all these we got Aurra Sing, brand new, never been an action figure before. And also, what from the classic main characters, what seconds of screen time have we not represented in a figure? So not only an awesome figure by itself, but an awesome moment of Princess Leia, one of the main characters who hadn't been represented yet.
Yeah, absolutely. The seconds of screen time not put in the figure form is very key because it's almost like they're going back and correcting little mistakes there and there. And we grew up in that era where you knew Leia by the figures, Ewok Leia,
Hoth fatigues,
Leia,
Bespin gown,
That's how we knew. That's your favorite era of Leia in a way. And this is one of my favorite as a fan, just in real life. So this is a great pose too. It's a great look.
Yeah.
Like it almost looks like a Black Series 6-inch figure on this photo I'm looking on rebelscum.com.
Yeah. And I think the whole Power of the Jedi line is playing a little bit with like, they're toys. Some of them you got to break out of the box and play with like Darth Maul, but some of them like, they're a little posed. They're a little statuey.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Good choice for your number 4.
My number 4.
My number 4 is, speaking of corrections, we got Mr. Jack Porkins. That's right. Jack Tano Porkins. Piggy, Belly Runner, Red 6. He didn't make it. and we never had a figure of him. We never really had one of Biggs. You might have had a generic X-Wing pilot, and Kenner probably lacked the technology to make a portlier-sized figure, but this is an accurate representation, and you could make that as a fun little side joke, or it's like, hey, no, we're giving this character his due.
Yeah.
And talk about, again, going back and correcting what wasn't done before. Again, the Power Force, I can't, they might have, did they do a Jack?
No,
they didn't do a Jack, right?
No, yeah, and that was the power of some of this line, is they were continuing in that same direction of, hey, you've always wanted this. Here you go, weirdos. Yeah,
I was doing a little bit of research, but sometimes it gets confusing for me. But the figure, again, it's a wider mold. And, yes, by the end of the Kenner line, the Gamorrean Guards, which, of course, what became was from Robin Hood, Father John. And sorry, I don't know my Robin Hood lore as much as I do Star Wars. So I just love that we have this Jack.
Yeah.
And it started, again, this era of, like I said, continuing, but also let's make sure all these characters are memorialized with their own statue.
Yeah, and for me, like, I loved seeing Porkins as a figure, because it's definitely like growing up watching the VHS and going, wait a minute, his name is Porkins? Oh, okay. And then to see, like, they'd never make an action figure of him, and of course they do, but also just, it's not Porkins, it's Jack Porkins, right?
Right.
And all of these action figures, like, yep, some of this is coming from the West End role-playing game from the late 80s. Some of this is coming from Expanded Universe. But it's right out there in the world on a Target Kmart shelf that his name is Jack, damn it.
Jack, damn it.
So he's sharing some lore with the galaxy by just hanging out there on a hook.
I love that there. So Jack Porkins is my number 4, which means we're moving up to your number 3.
My number 3 is another one that I sort of jokingly thought, like, could they ever make this? And I just am still amazed to this day that they've made it. And that is the deluxe figure Luke Skywalker in with Bacta Tank. Bacta Tank Luke Skywalker. I have joked many times in many places, including a comedy sketch I did right around this very time. I actually wrote a comedy sketch about a person who had a problem with action figures, where I was playing that character, talking to a therapist and talking about this, and having the therapist go, okay, let's take a step back. I just want you to know that what you're showing me is Mark Hamill in a diaper. There's nothing else to tell you. It's Star Wars. You've shown me an action figure of Mark Hamill in a diaper. So I love the absurdity of it. Right. It is actually a good action figure. He is floating in the Bacta tank there. And just from that perspective of being a completionist, right? Of like, what is every possible look that the big players have had? Well, we got to do it. We got to we're completing it.
I love this goes back to the micro line in 80 that they released, and then they had a Luke in space underpants, Bacta underpants, and then that's it. That's the only acknowledgement. So it's like it never existed. But again, we would want this.
Yes,
and you got this.
Oh, I got it. I still own it.
Still to this day.
It's in the storage.
Did it? I was trying to find a picture of it here on this website. Did it come? What did it come with? What was the official line again?
Yeah, it's a big. I think it's just Luke Skywalker Bacta tank. It was a deluxe figure, so he's in the actual Bacta tank that comes with it. So it's not just him floating loose on a single card.
Right.
It is the actual full Bacta tank. So if you want to go through and if you want to be like, I'm acting it out, and I think his hair is floating.
Hair is crazy,
right?
When you take it.
I mean, to be fair, there is like a little bit of sort of Star Wars designed to the space underpants, which is more fair than diaper. But I think I see actual Mark Hamill make jokes about this on Twitter every once in a while. How could you not have a sense of humor about it? It is an awesome scene in the movie, and it works in the movie. I've always felt oh man, if I was injured, how cathartic would that be to just be floating in a in just a vat of healing liquid. There's something that's very relatable about that. But then you turn it into an action figure, and it's just beautifully absurd.
Come with 2-1B and FX?
I don't think so. I think FX7 was released in this line. I believe he was one of the Power of the Jedi figures, so I think they may be showing you remember, this is all the ways you can play with it. You know, be sure to get your Han Solo looks at Luke in the Bacta tank action figure.
This is truly collect them all, though. You got to get FX7 and you put them in a little place on this playset.
Oh yeah, he's got a little place to stand. Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah, I don't think he came with FX7. I think FX7 was separate.
Shown. Yeah, it's not shown as it's listed with.
Yeah, so it might be my memory failing me. Maybe.
Oh, and then you could fill the chamber with water and blow air into the tube to simulate Luke breathing. What?
Wow. I admit I never did take this one fully out of the package and all the way out of the Bacta tank.
Well, sir, you're going to have to do it now. That's awesome.
Yeah, you know what? I'm more than happy to do a little bit of research for the good of the ForceCenter podcast.
We need to do a video of that and release that. Man blows on action figure Bacta tank.
No, here's a picture of the carded one. So it's got that command console.
Got it. Yeah, no droids.
But no FX7. I think FX7 was a separate card.
You pick one up for $47.
$47. It's worth 10 times that.
Wow, that's a great number 3.
Yeah.
For my number 3, I'm sticking with the Skywalker family, and I'm going with the 2000 release of Anakin Skywalker, parentheses, mechanic.
My name is Anakin, and I'm a mechanic.
9-year-old Anakin Skywalker lives on the desert planet Tatooine, where he serves the junk dealer Watto. He's a natural mechanic and talented pilot who doesn't realize he's extraordinarily strong in the Force. This comes with an Toga 222 droid, which looks like some weird Saturday morning cartoon character.
Oh,
and he's got a hydro spanner wrench with him, and he's kind of dirty. His outfit's kind of dirty, and
is his little face dirty?
I think so. Maybe, not so much.
Okay.
He is just ready to call you an angel. This figure is awesome. And remember, this is only a year removed from Phantom Menace, which had a young Anakin figure. Actually, it was a really good figure.
Yeah, I had a couple actually in that run.
That's right. And then to immediately get so specific, as if anticipating people like us who'll be like, well, we need Bespin Leia. Well, we also need Mechanic Anakin.
Yeah.
This one's just ready to say, bop the center nose. It's wonderfully absurd, but wonderfully needed to me. This makes sense from a collector's point of view, and I would be intrigued. I think it's on my list. I don't own it.
Did you own it back in the day?
No, but I definitely was aware of it, and I had... At the time, I had all very limited display space, and all my Phantom Menace figures were out of package and displayed. Okay. Until some friends, I'll withhold their names from my work, showed up and did the 40-year-old virgin thing and said, all these must go down. And I caved to the peer pressure.
All right.
And eventually put them back up, like Kylo rebuilding his helmet. So I didn't get this one, but I really appreciate it's such a tradition, and you're seeing it. What you're talking about of, even in 2000, they're looking back to 77 and 80 and going, what did we miss? But they're already in 2000 going, what did we miss in 99?
Yeah, and what are fun accessories and modes of being for these characters?
I want a droid hydro spanner wrench.
Yeah, well, who doesn't? Yeah. Come on, that's a great one. That is a great selection.
So that's my number 3, which means we're up to your number 2.
My number 2 is going with a lot of these. I did like some of the looking forward ones, but a lot of them were about the I can't believe they made that. And this is one that I don't think I ever dreamed as a possibility. But it is Darth Vader Dagobah. Mm-hmm. So this is the character Darth Vader from Luke's journey into the tree cave on Dagobah. So specific, so great. He's got a kind of translucent cape, so you get a little bit of that feeling of he is a vision, he's not real. And the big amazing thing is he has a breakaway mask with Luke's face underneath it. So a couple things about this one. I definitely got 2 of these. The breakaway mask worked amazingly well. So just action figure technology, it worked great. It fit in there perfectly. So I loved it for myself. I love that specificity. But I got a second one, like I said, so I could take it out. And sort of opposite to your story, when friends came over, I would actively be like, I have something you need to see. You know how I'm obsessed with action figures, and you know how I'm obsessed with the little moments? Look at this. And even people who are like, okay, you do your little nerd thing, we're like, damn, and it's Luke's face underneath? Oh. So it's an amazing action figure that looks cool and just functions to be that dream moment.
And it's removable faceplate. Luke Skywalker's face is a removable faceplate.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so in great lightsaber too. Nothing to complain about there. Handy, hardy lightsaber.
Well, what I like even on the package when the way it's displayed, Vader's holding the lightsaber just exactly like he does kind of when he fights Luke.
Yeah, so there was a lot of that in this line where, you got to take them out and play with them, but they're kind of posed in the package. So if you're going to be a collector about it and not really taking them out, you got a kind of cool pose. You got some action and some movement in it. But this one, this is just a dream one, that is literally from a vision.
Yeah.
and a dream I didn't know I had come true. Just, I think, for me, one of my top Star Wars action figures ever.
It's because I'm not as familiar with that one. I am more familiar with the Emperor's Wrath version.
Yes, which is also intriguing, but also a little silly looking in the package.
Yeah. That's basically the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull Vader. But this one again, this is 2000. I'm looking at these photos, and it seems like something that could come out today. I'm sure if in my hand it would maybe not look as detailed, but love that there. Love that. That's a great choice. This is Vader, for being such a simple, very sleek and timeless design. You could easily get bored with Vader figures, but I found myself wanting all of them and needing to get all of them.
Yeah.
Just sometimes for the packaging, sometimes for the scenarios. But this is one that's so specific, it makes it really interesting there.
Yeah, and I think there is something to it that is there had been this wisdom in toys that I think is unfortunate, but the numbers said it, starting really with a lot of Batman lines. That the kids wanted the main characters. So, if you're a superhero fan, you get these Batman of like, this is Batman when he's going to get an ice cream cone when the sky is red. So his suit is orange and he's got a zip line on his butt. And like,
seen that guy. Yeah.
So it was cool to see Star Wars go like, all right, we need to find a way to make a bunch of Vaders and Chewies, even though they never change costumes. Yeah. How can we do it? Real quick, I pulled up the Emperor's Wrath one. In this one, it's actually pretty cool. He's just got a little bit of blue on his helmet. There's a later line one where he comes in the package with actual plastic lightning bolts on his head. And that one is the one that just looks like he's trying to shampoo and something went wrong. This one looks cool. So
that's I know the one you're talking about too. Yeah.
So I don't want to misspeak if there are any fans of Darth Vader Emperor's Wrath, because this one is I had this one too, and it's damn cool.
It is damn cool. Oh, Vader's damn cool. Vader figures are damn cool. That is your number 2, which means we're up to my number 2. And, well, you're going Vader. I'm going the opposite side of the bed. I'm going Obi-Wan Kenobi. But cold weather gear, Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is from the 2001 line. Comes with removable headgear, a lightsaber, a backpack. And Obi-Wan wrapped in, imagine Han's jacket and Hoth.
Yeah.
Just now in kind of trench coat / Jedi robe form. And like a green kind of turtleneck underneath there.
Yeah.
I love the description. Jedi must always be well equipped for any circumstance. Obi-Wan Kenobi, a loyal and disciplined Jedi, is often sent by the Jedi Council to resolve matters on worlds where the environment is very cold. He often must prepare for these missions by bringing special gear with him to handle the colder temperatures. I imagine like an announcer reading that at a dog show.
It's Ewan McGregor prances by.
This Obi-Wan is ready for cold weather gear, or for cold weather. I just love it. It's absurd. It's a little bit of expanded universe fun of just taking these figures and what if in them. And generally, I don't necessarily go for those stories as much. As I've said, but I'm not a huge expanded universe Legends fan. But I love that this exists because it would exist.
Yeah.
It would be a thing.
Yeah. And I recently at Star Wars Celebration got the Jedi Knight training gear Obi-Wan. That they made, and I think they made a couple different Qui-Gons as well. But for you, did you gravitate toward this one because it is a little bit Obi-Wan meets Han?
Very much so. No, I much like with Cassian Andor's jacket, there's just something, and much like Aurra Sing, I look at and go, there's something about this woman. I look at there's something about that jacket. I love when I first, that's the versions of Cassian I own. Even the Funko Pops, because you get different versions. I go towards, there's something with the blue and the white fur-lined jacket that I have to analyze this.
Yeah, this is just how hoods work in Star Wars. If you're going to be chilly, this is the way to go.
And I like it. It is like a younger Obi-Wan, doesn't have a beard, so it's Ewan. It's obviously
still got. Does he have the Padawan braid?
He has like a pony ponytail, like a little tiny ponytail. So you could say this also, it reminds me, it is one of the most G.I. Joe-like Star Wars figures I've ever seen. Which might be explained why.
Yeah, I can see that one. Did you have this one back in the day?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I just always, again, this is a weird period when I was aware of a lot of the figures. I'd pull them off the racks and just be like, well, I can't.
Right. Got it.
A lot of people in my life telling me I couldn't at the time, and they're not in my life anymore.
I understand, because I eventually hit a period like that too.
Yeah. So ObiWan cold weather gear, my number 2, which means we're up to some honorable mentions.
Yeah.
We have an interesting list here. What's on yours?
So a couple of them. The Obi-Wan Kenobi Jedi Knight is what it's called, which is a great Alec Guinness Obi-Wan Kenobi with not the dark brown robe on top, but just the tan robes underneath. The Obi-Wan telling half-truths to Luke Skywalker. Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I think it was cool to see a variation on Obi-Wan. Again, a person who doesn't really change costume in the classic trilogy. And it was cool to see young Obi-Wan and old Obi-Wan in the same action figure line.
Yeah.
Right back there in 2000, 2001. I think he was in the early run of this Power of the Force. So he's up there. In terms of ridiculous specificity, Chewie Dejeric Champion.
Right.
Which is where I learned the word Dejeric, which is part of the reason I love all of these action figures. And this is one where his arms are posed so he can put them behind his back in his behind his head in his winning pose. And he sits at the little hollow chest Dejeric table. So he's basically he's going to the galaxy's edge, Millennium Falcon Chewie, taking photos. So that Boshek was up there for me too.
I would not, if this list didn't include Boshek on any level for you.
I mean, just talk about a little small side character, just points at Chewie and that's it. Like, no, I have no interest in helping the old man, but how about this guy?
Yeah,
Boshek with those big old sideburns, and then a couple. I'm looking at this from my memories of back in the day and what I bought. But it was really fun to look at it now and see how many of those figures that weren't priorities for me then that I've become attached to those characters and like I'm having a hard time restraining myself from buying now.
Right.
Like the Padme Amidala Queen's Decoy, which is technically Sabe.
Yeah.
Which one of my favorite Padme outfits, the actual Sabe outfit, the Shmi figure, like all these characters that I've come to become much more invested in.
Yep.
It's cool to know they're part of this line. And my last honorable mention is Ketwall. And it is because I think this, I could be wrong. Again, anecdotal evidence. This line was pretty popular with lots of cool, weird ones. So Ketwall was the sad Lobot of the early 2000s where you walk into Target and there's a bunch of Ketwalls because he's just a background alien that had been added in the special edition. And nobody had I think, great attachment to Ketwall. There he hung, waiting to be loved.
Peg warming up his life.
That's great. So some of my runner-ups.
My runner-ups include the Sabe Queen's Decoy one, because I can only hear Newt Gunray say, "This one's a decoy," and it's essentially a Keira Knightley figure. So the Sausage Tin. I'm not a huge Sausage Tin fan per se, but I just like that now we're getting into now we got more Jedi to play with, and we're gonna have the proper prequel lines. They'll be in those lines, but this is like a year removed from Phantom Menace, and it's like, oh, cool, more Jedi to play with and collect.
Yeah.
I like that one. I love the Tusken Raider Sniper.
So great.
I love that sequence in the pod race. I remember people laughing their butts off the first time I saw it. They will deny it to my face, but I was there with them. I could name names. Some of them have gone on to do powerful things in the animation world. SpongeBob and Vader Zim. Yes, I'm looking at you, and they will deny that. We all walked down and said, that was pretty fun. That was pretty fun. I have a figure to prove it's a fun sequence. Fodes and Bede, there's a character I still don't necessarily love.
Yeah.
All right. But I do want Fodes and Bede.
You want the old the Bede.
I like Greg Proops too as an improv comic, and have him in weird space figure form. And I'm a big fan of Boss Nass. And this line, you got Chewie winning a space chest. You got Chewie as a mechanic. Anakin as a mechanic. You got Boss Nass, which we just had in the Phantom Menace line not too far prior to this. Gungan Sacred Place, Boss Nass. And if you click on it, he's got just the best Boss Nass smile. So
that's the big difference, is that this is right after Padme has said, I would like to work together. I respect you. And
look at that. He's just, we're gonna work together.
Yeah, he's a likeness.
It's like
this. Yeah.
It's Sacred Place. It's Gungan's Sacred Place, but it should be called Boss Nass Promotes Jar Jar Place, because it's that when he's laughing.
Bombad General.
Yeah, it's got that look. So that's some honorable mentions for me, which means we're coming to the end of our list, but we're going to close it out with my number one, so the guests can close out with their number one, or I'm going to close out my list now. My number one of the Power of the Jedi line, now we're taking figure collecting to a higher place. It's an art form now. Han Solo and Chewbacca, the Death Star Escape. This is from the more, what do we call it, the deluxe line?
Yeah, I think it was a special 25th anniversary, right?
Yep, 25th, that's right. There, the deluxe line is where you had your back to Luke. Sorry, clicked on the wrong tab. Han Solo and Chewbacca, Death Star Escape. They are almost in that classic pose. Han's got the hand out, the blaster out, and Chewie's definitely in his classic pose, but it's like mid freeze frame when they run into the stormtroopers. It has the Death Star display stand that comes with it, with the backdrop. Now you really can get into a point where you are displaying your figures.
Oh yeah,
you love hot toys and sideshow and Black Series and all those things we got now. Well, this was in 2002, and for $14.99, you could pick this up and display it on your office desk. If I had an office desk back then, I would have absolutely done it. But I like this figure a lot.
Yeah, it's so great. Those two just posed. Is it just the back to basics, the absolute classic of it that speaks to your heart?
Yeah, and, you know, Han being one of my favorite guys. That's one of my favorite moments, right? And it's a classic sequence, and just to have it again, a lot of this line is very specific.
Yeah,
down to a shot, and this is one of those shots. That's immortalized forever in figure form.
It just screams weird space adventure.
Yeah, this is again the type of thing that you would want to take out of the packaging, maybe get two, and then to play it, so people walk in and just immediately know, oh, New Hope, Star Wars. Yeah, I'm with you. Even if they're not huge fans.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Love it. That's my number one. Nothing more I can say about that. It's just awesome.
Yeah. A lot of my list was looking back at figures they hadn't made yet. Would they ever make that? And then my number one is looking forward. It came at the end of the line. It is. I'm going to reveal it in story form, if that's okay. Rather than just saying it. Please do. Okay. The year is 2002. I have a girlfriend whose parents live in the UK. And I've never even been out of the country, but we fly to England. And my girlfriend says, well, where do you want to go? And it's like, I've discovered there is a small place in Wales that manufactures not great Doctor Who action figures. But this is how I express my love of things, is buying them in action figure form. And I can go to where the action figures are actually made and buy a bunch of Doctor Who action figures. So we take the train from where her parents live in the middle of England and pass through Manchester and Liverpool. And we actually just literally pass through Manchester. Like, we get off a train and we have 10 minutes before the bus is supposed to come to take us the rest of the way.
Right.
And I see an action figure store. And my girlfriend at the time is understanding of the action figure obsession,
right,
but a little concerned about it. I don't actually have a job at this point and haven't for months, and am spending a lot of money on action figures still. So no criticism of her, valid real world concerns.
Understood.
But she understands. She's like, please make it quick or we will actually miss where we're going. So I run in, and it's a bunch of action figures. That's cool. And I decide, I don't need anything. And I stop and then look above the checkout station on the wall and see the 4 Attack the Clones preview figures. Oh, yeah. And I see my number one figure, which is the Clone Trooper sneak preview figure. Oh, yeah. And now I did research to make sure I was remembering this correctly. Mm-hmm. Not only do I see an awesome action figure of a clone trooper in an exciting action pose, but I see for the first time, oh my God, the clones are a mixture of stormtroopers and Boba Fett Mandalorian armor. Yeah. And I see that in an action figure store in Manchester when I have seconds left to get back, or I'm going to be deserted in Manchester. And I bought it immediately, and it was just like one of those great action figure moments of my life, where not only the figure itself was cool, but the moment was cool, the memory of buying it, and the revelation of getting information from the figure itself that this is what they were going to look like.
Yeah, which harkens back to, say, Jedi Luke in the Kenner line.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't know. Like, why does he come with a blaster? What's going on? Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And I looked it up to make sure I was remembering it correctly. The teaser trailers showed the clones from far away. Mm-hmm. But none of the actual reveals had come in the trailers yet of what the clones actually look like. Well, and I'm sure people that at the time were scrubbing the internet, and I'm sure there were a lot of people who did know. But for myself, I wasn't going to, early versions of the dark web to try to find this stuff. And that was, for me, the moment that I saw. You're cut adrift in Manchester. Yeah. You're unplugged from the internet there. Yeah. This is an impressive figure because it's got an action pose. It's got a blaster effect, like a blue laser beam blasting out of his blaster, and dirty feet. Like it's covered in dirt up to his thighs. He's got some action. Some action's happening. Putting the action back in action figure. Clone Troopers sneak preview. Oh, that's a great number one. It is really indicative of the line, the time, the era. Yeah. And looking forward to more Star Wars movies and figures. How we celebrate the movies we've watched. It's also how we celebrate the movies we're about to fall in love with in our brains. Yeah. It's a great line. That line also includes Jango Fett, R3-T7, and Zam Wessel. Yeah. So some exciting ones there. There's a lot of exciting figures there. But that Clone Trooper just spoke to me. And then what I'm noticing about the Zam Wessels, I don't think that helmet comes off. So you didn't know he was a she, and she is a changeling. Oh, that's right. Mysteries abound. Mysteries abound. Great way to round out the list. The Clone Trooper is great collectors, like a figure to display. It looks so good. If you out there have your Power of the Jedi list, you can reach out to us on Twitter at ForceCenter Pod and use the hashtag Star Wars Ranked. You can go to our website, ForceCenterPod.podomac.net, like our Facebook page, maybe tag us a picture on Instagram. This will be up on YouTube as well as a rebroadcast, and it's been a lot of fun. Don't forget the podcast is available in a lot of spots, including Podomatic, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. Just search for it, find it, and let us know if we're not on something you want us to be on, and we'll try to get on as well. Joseph, I can't thank you enough for bringing just your experiences, your stories, and your expertise on Star Wars figures during an era where I had some favorites, but didn't allow myself to get them all. I understand. It was a great era, and it's always great to talk about action figures, so thank you. I'm sure we're going to go on to another era, too. There's one I really want to get to, and it's not yet in the eras we've talked about. Oh, so I'm so excited. More's to come. Thank you so much for supporting us. You can go to Joseph Scrimshaw's website for more information on any live comedy shows, and you got Dragon Con coming up soon, too. That is right. Hopefully I can announce stuff soon, but I got a fun Star Wars thing that should be happening there. Again, information on my website, josephscrimshaw.com, or Twitter, Instagram, social media, at Joseph Scrimshaw. And go to kennapzok.com for information on things I'm going to, or going to be doing, or have already done. And that includes August 24th, hosting a screening of Star Wars Episode 4, New Hope, with the Central Coast Film Society. Go to centralcoastfilmsociety.org for more information. And that is it for this week. Star Wars has been ranked.